Willie the Moose, a Vista Verde tale by Maddy O'Neill. She's the writer and the illustrator. Willie Moose, a Vista Verde tale. And it even looks like it's signed by the author. I got this from a Little Free Library, and I'm going to put it back in the Little Free Library. Meet Willie. Willie was a moose, and like any good moose, he had great pointy antlers on his head and a big round nose, and he lived in the forest. During the day, he liked to walk to the meadow and munch on the tasty tall grass that grew there. One day, he found a particularly tasty patch, and he followed it and followed it and followed it until, do you see our little sign? He found himself somewhere he had never been before. If Willie could read, he would have known that he had found Vista Verde Ranch, but sadly, most moose are lousy readers. In the distance, he saw a herd of very odd-looking moose. They were a bit smaller than he was and had a hairy mane instead of his great pointy antlers. Do you see them? As he watched them jump and gallop in the pasture, he couldn't help but want to join in the fun. The odd-looking moose explained that they were actually horses and invited Willie to join the herd. That was when Willie decided he wanted to be a horse. That evening, rather than head back to the forest, he followed his new herd to the ranch. Willie had never been on a ranch before, so he got a little excited. He wanted to do everything he could. He roasted marshmallows, enjoyed a nice hayride. But what Willie loved best was sitting in the lodge by the cozy fire and listening to the band play. When darkness fell, it was time for everyone on the ranch to go to bed. Willie would have loved to sleep in the warm barn, but unfortunately, it was horse size, not moose size. He just didn't fit. His first night as a horse was spent outside in the cold. The next day wasn't much better, and it just got worse from there. They're trying to get horseshoes on him, trying to get a saddle on. Nothing's fitting. Okay, so maybe I'm not a horse, Willie thought to himself, but surely there must be a place on the ranch for me. He tried a few different jobs, but housekeeping was hard. Fishing was a flop. Cooking was a catastrophe. Biking was a big mistake. And it was tough to be a ranch hand without hands. The ranch staff felt sorry for Willie, but they had to tell him to go back to the forest. His great pointy antlers and big round nose just didn't fit in anywhere at the ranch. Willie took one last look around the lodge and at his favorite spot where he loved to listen to the band play. That's when he got an idea. The next day, business at the ranch carried on as usual except for one thing. The lodge seemed to have a brand new decoration. Above the fireplace was a moose with great pointy antlers and a big round nose. That night, as the band played and a cozy fire burned in the fireplace, some of the guests were sure they saw the moose smile. In the end, he found a way to be in the lodge with them. That was Willie the Moose, a Vista Verde tale.